Today I'm reviewing my brand new updated 2024 Model 3 Performance. The new Model 3 refresh has been out for about 6 months now, and we've all been awaiting the performance variant. Well, it's here now, and I believe it's truly the best performance car you could buy at its price. Let me start off by giving you guys a tour of the new exterior. Mine is spec'd in stealth gray, and it's the only color that currently qualifies for the $7,500 tax incentive. The color is really fantastic, and for anyone on the fence about wanting to order one because you can only qualify for the gray right now, I recommend seeing one in person. The color is really unique, and it's really hard to see that on video. This is the first time Tesla has really made any changes to the design of the car for the performance model. For starters, we have these new vents in the bumper that should improve aerodynamics along with help cool the brakes down. You also have this new front lip, which looks really nice. Now, if we come over to the side, we have these all new forged rims with removable aero caps. I believe the weight on these are 24 pounds, a little bit lighter if you remove the aero caps. Down quite a bit of weight from the older Uber turbines, which were almost 10 pounds heavier. The car is also now running a staggered setup from the old square setup. In the rear, we have this fiber ducktail spoiler. I love the shape of this. It also seems to be much better fitted from the old Model 3 and Y performances, where they never really sat true flush against the trunk lid. We have this brand new Ludicrous badge, which references Spaceballs. It's also interesting because there's no other mentions of Ludicrous anywhere else in this car. I wouldn't be shocked if they do some software update down the road to bring Ludicrous mode to the car. Lastly, we have this rear diffuser, which helps dress up the rear a bit. I'm also assuming helps with the aerodynamics. Now, if we move on to the interior, the new performance seats are hands down the best performance seats I've ever sat in. These have much more bolstering than the previous generation seats, but these are also better than any manufacturer seats I've ever been inside. From BMWs, Mercedes, and even the new C8 Corvette, these seats have the perfect amount of comfort and bolstering, and they look absolutely amazing. Aside from these seats, you have this carbon fiber trim on the dash here, which is a nice touch. I believe that's the only difference you'll see in the performance interior from the standard 3, but man, is the interior a huge upgrade over the previous generation. Everything is so solid. There's this LED strip going from the dash through the driver and passenger doors that you can change the color of. It looks really nice. I really think they knocked it out of the ballpark with the new interior. It's still their minimalistic styling, but just way better craftsmanship. You have two center consoles which can store quite a lot of stuff in them and also hide away the cup holders when they aren't in use. The rear of the car has quite a bit more space than you would expect. At 6'6" tall, I can fit back here just fine as long as the passenger in front of me isn't too tall himself. There's also this rear display you can use to adjust the climate, play games, or watch TV, which is absolutely awesome when you have guests or especially kids in your car. There's Bluetooth on it, so the passengers in the rear could connect a headset if they like and watch shows or play games while the others can listen to music. Okay, before we go for a ride, I'm going to go through the settings real quick. For starters, you have acceleration. I like to keep mine insane, but there's 3 options: chill, standard, and insane. Insane is very responsive, so for somebody who has passengers and stuff, you don't want to get nauseous, maybe keep it to standard or chill. And then for the second option, we have ride and handling. I keep mine in sport, but I do notice a lot more comfort in standard. For my driving, I like to feel really engaged, and sport is really engaging. You feel a lot more of the road than you do in standard. And then for the final option, we have steering weight. There's also 3 options here: light, standard, and heavy. I found that I like to keep it in light. Standard and heavy, in this car, it's already heavy. It feels kind of like it's trying too hard to be sporty and just unnecessary. Now, finally, we have track mode, which I'm not going to be turning on in this video, but I'll go through the settings. You can customize your own setting. It has presets for race and drift. Now, lastly, you have auto shift after out of park, which selects automatically which direction you should go in when you put your brake down. So in this situation right now, I'd want to go forward, and if I put the brake down, it says press to drive, and it's already put me in drive, which is really useful because now they've gone stockless and the options are on the screen. So maybe you don't want to reach all the way that way, you can just do it automatically. So again, I'll go into park and I press the brake down and I'm in drive. Seems to work pretty well. I'd be careful in situations like you're in a garage. You don't want to be in reverse and back into your garage and hit something. You always want to be cautious and make sure you pay attention and look at where it is going. I'm going to let this guy pass around me. Now, for the final thing is I do have full self-driving set up. So we will have the full visualizations. They look really nice, and full self-driving's really impressed me. I'll put some videos of that later on in the video, but for now, let's go for a drive. This car has plenty of enough acceleration, especially in insane. It handles really, really well with the new suspension. I feel like the older models, the older generations were very loose, and the rattles and all that build quality issues really made the car less comfortable to drive fast in. I have a older Model Y, a 2021 Model Y Performance, and though that car is really fast in a straight line, I wouldn't find myself enjoying these curvy roads much because just how loose and rattly everything is. It just doesn't feel built nearly as well as this car does. I'm really impressed with the build quality. I hear absolutely nothing but the tires. The insulation is phenomenal. I don't know how they did such a good job, but I hear pretty much nothing. I did have one experience where somebody was even beeping their horn behind me, but they weren't beeping at me, and I could hardly hear the sound of their beep from just how good the insulation is in this car. The suspension also feels really good. I'm on Sport right now, and it feels very, you can feel a lot of the road. It feels really nice when you're taking these curves. It feels very well planted. I feel very safe going fast. The tires have well more than enough grip, and I'm coming across a straightaway. I could try a little bit of a launch here, not too far, but you'll feel if I stop here and come to complete stop and I slam it, even my girlfriend freaked out a little bit. It is very intense. The acceleration on this car is just, it's jarring. It's really nuts how fast this car goes from 0 to 60. I haven't felt any other car outside of a few plaids I've been in drive this fast. It makes my BMW M2 competition just feel very slow. Really impressive how fast they made this car. Even the older Model Y and Model 3 Performances, they were fast, but they really held off after 60. This car just keeps on pulling. It feels like you're driving a rocket ship, especially with how light the Model 3 is. I believe this clocks in at around 4,000 pounds, which is really impressive when you think about it. I think that's around the same weight as the M3 competition is. I think it's like 3950 or something. Very similar in weight, and this has obviously the huge batteries. Okay, so here I can show you guys a quick draggy run. Let me connect to that. It has been raining, so it will have a little bit of slip. I'm currently at a 68% state of charge. Okay, so my draggy's all set up. Let's see how this pulls. Again, I'm at a 68% state of charge. It is 85 degrees out, and it has been raining. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, this violent. There we go. I had done 3.21 seconds. I do have my girlfriend in the passenger seat, so I would say that it's pretty much verified 2.9 seconds. I think if I had a better state of charge and no passengers or any equipment in my car, it would easily be able to pull the 2.9 seconds 0 to 60. One thing about this car I did notice is the brakes took a while to break in. I'll slam down there. It took a while to break in. I think people who buy this car should be very careful within the first week, because when I pulled this out of the dealership lot, the brakes were unresponsive almost completely. I really had to put all my weight into the brakes to get them to stop. It was a little jarring, and I think if you buy this car, you should do a couple of pulls where you just slam on the brakes to break them in. I think that a lot of people might not use the brakes often and just use the regenerative braking and come to a situation where they really need it. And if you haven't broken them in, you will barely stop. So definitely new owners, make sure that you do a few pulls and slam on the brake a bit to get it all set up, and make sure that your brakes are well broken in. Here we will test out real quick the auto park feature. So once you get to a destination, you can see on my screen all these options pop up. You can go this way too, It should pop up on this side as well. Don't know if it'll notice because the lines are bad, but yep, eventually did pick it up. So I will choose a random one. I'll do the furthest one. You select it and you press start. I think it is really impressive. The best auto parking system I've been in yet. It is slightly on the slow side, and I know they did mention that it would be sped up in some software updates, but nonetheless, this is awesome. I have tried it in parallel parking situations as well, which is great for my girlfriend who doesn't like parallel parking as much or isn't quite as good at it. But definitely a nice feature to have. It is a little slow here in this situation. I know that they are, if you can see on the screen, hardly painted, so it's not the perfect spot to pull in, but it does seem pretty much perfectly centered as of now. And that took, I don't know, I'll put the time on the screen. Really good though. I think it'll stop here. Yep, auto park complete, and now you are in park. So the next thing about this car are these seats are so comfortable and so nice to drive in. You know, compared to my Model Y Performance, where the seats are really comfortable, but they do not hold you at all. You really can't drive quick in them without it being very unenjoyable. This car, when you're handling the turns, these bucket seats really keep you in, and they're perfect for really everyone. I'm 6'6", 260 pounds, so I am a bigger guy, and I find that they hug me just right. I don't have any issues with discomfort. Perfect seats, and the ventilated, and well, I think they're cooled seats and heated, which is really nice. I think that ventilated seats just give air, they just blow fans at you, but this actually has an AC component to it, which is cooling down as well. They're very cold to the touch. The other thing that's slightly weird to get used to in this car is obviously you have the no stalks, which I went over, but you also have no turn signals. So they're all buttons on the wheel. They're haptic, so they do feel like real buttons. I like actually the feel of them a lot, but it does take quite a bit getting used to. I personally, I'm pretty tech savvy. I was able to get used to it really fast. I still would prefer stalks, but I don't see it being a complete deal breaker to me to have no stalks and to go this buttonless design or button design on the wheel. You do have a standard horn, so instead of that being a button, it is a horn, which is nice. You do have other buttons here, like to control your sound. If you click it to or hold it, you can also change things like your fan speed, your temperature, or whatever you really want. There's a lot of options in here. And then the right side controls autopilot and full self-driving. So if I click the right side in, you're immediately on full self-driving. You have a button on the wheel to pull up your cameras, so you can pull up your sides and your rear camera while you're driving without having to go through the screen. It's really nice, especially when you want to check behind you or check your sides. It is a rainy condition, but if you kick down, it still pulls past 70. You could feel there's much more power than the older generations had. It's really so fast. And at the price of this car, $55,000 without the tax incentive, and it brings it down to $47,500 with the $7,500 tax incentive, there's no competition out there. You know, you're looking at BMW M3s, which are easily spec'd above $100,000 if you spec them right. This car, I don't know how other manufacturers are really going to compete with the performance for what you get. It's mind-blowing. You know, a lot of people look at the Teslas and they say, well, yeah, that's the MSRP before you spec it. But cars specifically like this car, there's really not many options on Tesla's site. The seats are standard, white or black are included, and then all you really have is color option for the exterior, along with if you want to do full self-driving or not. I believe that's really all the settings you have, the options you have, which, you know, I think their MSRP stays pretty true because of that. You know, you look at a BMW M3, and it's probably going to say 70,000 starting or 80,000 starting, but really after you spec it all up, it is way closer to that $100,000 mark, which is, you know, insane when you can buy this for half the price. Not to consider all the gas savings and such you'll have by going electric. Now, one con I will mention with this car is the automatic windshield wipers are pretty bad. There's been a lot of times where I'm in this rain. I wish I captured it on video, and I'll try to later on in this video, but it'll be hard raining and my windshield will get all wet and I won't be able to see, and it won't come on, so I'll have to manually press the button to get it to kind of kick in and start wiping the windshields manually. So I really do hope they do some software update or something to improve how the windshield wipers are. It's not a deal breaker, but it is quite annoying. I've been in a lot of cars with better automatic windshield wipers, you know, with tech being so important in these cars, and with Tesla being so ahead of the tech, you'd think they'd have a better system for that. Here's some footage where I'm on full self-driving, but the automatic wipers just randomly stop in the pouring rain, making it impossible to see and causing the full self-driving system to stop working. Hopefully we get an update that addresses this real soon.
Second reason why this iPad has become my everything. It's the thing that 90% of the stuff.
All Teslas come standard with their autopilot, which is their lane keep assist with automatic acceleration and braking. They also offer full self-driving. I've had full self-driving since 2020 on my Model Y Performance. It's gone from a complete waste of money when I originally got a hold of it to an absolute amazing feature. Full self-driving has gotten so good that I can often go full drives without ever needing to take over the car. Currently, you can purchase it for $8,000 or subscribe to the feature for $100 a month. At this price, it would take 6 years for buying full self-driving to save you money over the subscription. I think the only reason for someone to pay the $8,000 would be if you plan to own the car and definitely want full self-driving, or if you want to lock in the price in case they raise the subscription cost back to $200 a month. This is definitely a possibility to consider, and I highly recommend someone curious about full self-driving to take a test drive with FSD enabled. Unlike lots of YouTubers I've seen, I personally do not think FSD is a complete waste of money, and definitely see the potential of wanting to own it. Going from my BMW M2 competition to the Model 3 Performance was something I was honestly scared I would regret, but the new Model 3 Performance has definitely impressed me. With the features, styling, ride quality, and impressive specs at 510 horsepower, it really leaves me wondering how other manufacturers will be able to compete. At $55,000, this car is an absolutely incredible deal, and even more so if you qualify for the $7,500 tax incentive and can purchase it for $47,500. So if you're ready to get a new sedan, the new Model 3 Performance is definitely one you should consider. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I plan to make many more videos of my ownership of the Model 3 and Y Performance, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.